What's up, everyone? Stormy here, or Alex. I think I may start switching that to be Alex instead of Stormy. It's just a nickname, and I'm kind of a creature of habit, so I think that just saying, like, what's up, everyone, Alex here, makes a little bit more sense. I do it on my main channel. Don't know why I don't do it here. Do you like my new clothes, by the way? I'm only getting up a little bit, but I have some sweet new cardigans that I went out and bought. I got a budget of insert an amount of money here where I could go out and just like buy whatever clothes that I wanted or needed, and I got a new hat and some new clothes, and it's pretty validating. I've been, for once in my life, very comfortable in the clothes that I'm wearing. It's a little weird to navigate, but it also kind of ties in with today's video, because we're going to be talking about going through phases and also talking about dysphoria. For some reason, I wanted to put them both in the same video, I guess. If you wanted to see like the other, like more of the clothes that I bought recently, go to my Instagram at AlexJBrimmer. I'm going to put that on the screen, but that's where you can find me basically anywhere. But Instagram, I've got all kinds of like selfies, and you get to see some of my new clothes there. And I still have some money left, and I'm going to be buying some more clothes, but for now I've got what I got. What I am dysphoric about, because this is for a later video, but I talk more in the context of gender euphoria, like what I do to feel comfortable in what I'm wearing and how I'm presenting, and like just having a very specific gendered experience. And when I say gendered experience, I mean like the way I'm coming off at, like what kind of gender I'm coming off as, I guess is the way to phrase that. I'm very short on like resources. I don't have much of a community to fall back on, so there's so much wording and phrases that are a little awkward to me, because I did not learn these things growing up. I did not learn these things like until very recently, so I can only really explain what my experiences feel like and hope that it makes sense. But I always talk about gender euphoria without like really pinpointing it as like being called that. But I don't really talk about gender dysphoria and like what that means for me and how I navigate dysphoria. And I've come to learn that it's such a specific experience from person to person. My wife deals with dysphoria in a very different way than I do. Someone else deals with it completely different way than the two of us, and like it's such a unique experience, and it's such an important thing to talk about, I think. In general, I do have body dysphoria. With the right people, I don't feel as dysphoric body-wise, especially since like if I'm out in public, I'm like in my binder, I'm in like clothes that like almost no one realizes that I'm trans. They don't know until I end up telling them. So the body dysphoria is fluctuating. Obviously, it's more, what would you call it? It's more relevant if it's like I'm taking a shower, or like someone else is seeing me without my clothes on, sort of thing. Like then that's a little bit different than like going out in public. Because like I've kind of learned how to navigate body dysphoria in public, so that's not necessarily a problem. I feel a little more dysphoric using public bathrooms. Those are a nightmare, and I try to avoid using public bathrooms altogether if I can help it, or like specifically looking for those like single stall, like the single occupancy bathrooms, but I still get dysphoric in that sense. And I still kind of have a little bit of voice dysphoria. The last couple times I've gone to Burger King, yes, a lot of people probably know I am vegan, but they have that vegan Impossible Whopper, and I can't help it. I order it without the mayonnaise, and just like some days I just want some easy food, so I stop at Burger King, which is like horrible to do. But oh man, wow, I lost my train of thought just a tiny bit. But like the last couple times I've gone to Burger King, I've been misgendered just from speaking into the speaker to like, I should know how this works. I've worked at fast food places before. Speaking into the thingy that picks up your voice. It's not a microphone, but it's something of the sort. But yeah, I've gotten, like, people called me ma'am more than once, or gay. Like I live in the South technically, like just into the South. I don't specify where, with a lot of people, especially on my YouTube channel, but people have a very specific way of addressing women. It's like sweet pea, hun, darling. Like there's a very specific way both men and women, or anybody, I guess I should say, address women specifically. And I've gotten that. Like, I feel like they're talking to some little like teenage girl or something. The way that like I get talked to, and then I pull up and no words are said, but they definitely called me ma'am. The last time that happened, they addressed me, like I was in the passenger seat yelling across my wife in the driver's seat to the intercom thing, ordering my food, and then they like addressed me more like a woman, and then like there's no like follow-up to that. There's no like, oops, sorry, I didn't know, because my wife pulls up in front of the window and they just think that they're the one that was talking. So like I get the voice dysphoria. I haven't learned to speak loudly and clearly and project my voice while also keeping it at a lower register. I can't do that. I know that I'm speaking from the wrong part. It's like head voice, lower voice. I don't know what that's called. I forget what it's called. I should know. Like, these are like singing terms, but like singing terminology. But when I'm speaking quieter, I can speak lower, especially like just one-on-one with a person if I'm trying to explain something. But as soon as I start enunciating, trying to speak loudly, then it gets higher pitched, and I gotta stop equating volume with the pitch of my voice. That's something like I need to kind of teach myself. But voice dysphoria, definitely thing. Body dysphoria, depends. And I guess I made a note here. I love my notes. My notes are so out there. I guess I have a little bit of dysphoria with like just my proportions, my size. I'm very short. I'm short for a man. Like, men are like, cis men are taller, and like, I don't know. I don't feel as bad, but if I'm in like a group of cis men, then I don't feel well, because I'm 5'4", and I'm 5'4" on a good day. I usually slouch a lot. I have terrible posture, but I'm very small, and I also have very small feet, and shopping for shoes is such a hassle. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do for shoes from now on, because like I used to shop at Payless before it shut down. So like there's no Payless I can go to. They started like closing stores, and they have like the small size. I might as well say it. I'm a size 6.5 in men's. But they have this like tiny section in Payless where I can actually get shoes my size. Though it's like 50-50. Like, sometimes I'll find shoes that are good for me. Sometimes like I can't find anything at all because that section is so small, and they don't keep it well stocked. But like, I guess, yeah, I guess that's like where my dysphoria lies. But it's getting better to, like, easier to manage, because I've learned how to be comfortable in my body and how to present in a way that like kind of helps, I guess. Yeah, the problem is like it depends so much on confidence, and like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to like pinpoint that specific feeling of like what I do and how I carry myself in order to feel less dysphoric. But I guess it all comes down to just feeling confident in what I'm doing, like putting on my clothes and being like, yeah, I'm a man, I'm here, whatever, I don't know. I guess it's called, well, in autistic terms, it's called masking, like pretending to be neurotypical. Like, I guess it would be stealth, yeah. I think that's called stealth. I'm really bad at terms, but I think it's called going stealth if you're, like, no one knows you're trans, and you're, like, passable, I guess. Oh, my God, I don't know. I had to, like, calm my thoughts down with a cup of coffee. That's not gonna work. Growing up dysphoric. It's important to keep in mind that I never had the terminology, I never had the language to describe my experiences, and I never, like, I never had, like, a community. I never had transgender friends, really, not until I was, like, just getting out of high school, and I didn't know what it was, but, like, kind of starting, like, the beginning of high school, it probably started a little earlier than that, but, like, the larger part of it was just starting out high school, like, freshman, sophomore year, and, like, I just felt the need to wear baggy clothes all the time to just kind of hide my figure and hide my body, and, like, I just kind of rolled with it. It was something I wanted to do, and I liked the way it looked, I guess, and I didn't fully understand why I did that, and I never thought to really question it, but just, like, one day I just started kind of taking on more masculine mannerisms, and attempting to present male, but, like, not wanting to be called a man. Like, I was uncomfortable being called like a boy in high school. A lot of people mistook me for a boy, but I guess I wanted to be like a like a gender non-conforming girl in high school. But I just didn't have that kind of, like, language, so I didn't know what it was even called that I was dealing with, but I definitely didn't want to wear, like, women's clothing. I definitely didn't want to present femininely. So, like, I was in such a weird phase, such a weird in-between phase in my life, which is where I'm tying in phases with gender dysphoria, because it kind of goes hand in hand for me. Reasons why I may have made the choices I did, presenting myself, referring to myself, and I mean, eventually I obviously had my dead name, and I started using a masculine nickname based on, like, my dead name, and it made me feel really good. I don't know why. I didn't understand why at the time. I had no idea. I love, like, today's generation, because they're growing, like, kids are growing up understanding language. They have all these resources online, and they have, like, they may have other trans friends to talk to. They may have, like, friends with transgender parents, or they themselves might have trans parents, and like, kids are growing up with the language that they need to describe their experiences, so they can be questioning, but at least, like, some of them might have an understanding as to what's going on. I did not have that. I grew up in the 90s. I did not have internet until I was, like, 10 years old, and even then, like, there were no trans resources online. Like, there was no big, like, transgender movements, I guess, happening in the world that I would have been aware of. There really wasn't anything. I grew up when gay marriage was legalized in the US. Like, I remember, or at least largely legalized. I don't remember the specifics, because I think some states were fighting to, like, not allow that. But, like, man, things are so different now. So, like, I grew up so sheltered. Like, my parents didn't know anything about trans people. I don't think they had any transgender friends. The most was like my stepdad had like his sister's a lesbian. That's about it. And I think, yeah, his niece, my cousin, is also gay, but that's kind of it. Like, I barely knew these people at all, so I didn't grow up around that, and none of my siblings were really like that until much, much later on. My youngest brother is very gender non-conforming, but that's about it. And that's like way past high school where I learned that, so it wasn't something I grew up with. So we're at the part where I was coming up with a masculine nickname. I want to think, oh man, I was trying to think of an example that was not my dead name. It's kind of like if my name had been Jacqueline and I decided that Jack should be my nickname. It was like that. So let's put it that way without actually giving away what the dead name was, because there's like 3 people in the world who like know about that. I mean, besides family. So yeah, let's not go there. That's not something I want public knowledge. It's a dead name for a reason, but it was kind of like that. Like, it was like a traditionally female name, and I took part of it and adopted it as like a nickname. And I started, why am I itching my eyeball on camera? That's gross. One of the first people in my life to use my new nickname was my Spanish teacher, Mr. Guitar, Jason Guitar. He was an amazing teacher. I learned so much from him. I had him for 3 years. I took 6 years of Spanish, and 3 of those years was with Mr. Guitar. And I was writing my name on my papers, like first name, nickname in quotes, and then last name, because I was insinuating like I wanted, like, I want to take, like, this is what I want to be called. And then he asked me about it, and I was like, you know what, yeah, you could absolutely call me this, like, name. And instead of a nickname, it became my actual name, and friends started adopting it, and like, people I was dating was calling me by this name, and no one, like, at the time, no one was allowed to use, like, my full name. I was embarrassed a little bit by it, so I never told people. But I mean, again, at the time, I didn't know what a dead name was. That was not a word. I don't know when that word even came about, but that was not a word I learned about like in high school. This was like well out of high school when I first learned that it's called a dead name. I think I was like 23, 24, so we're talking like 2013, 2014 is when I learned that it's called a dead name. Like, I'm telling you, I was very, very sheltered. And not too long after being called this new name, I cut all my hair off. I have no pictures. Oh, I wish I had that specific picture. I don't think I can put it up because I don't think I have it anywhere. But I had very, very long hair. And one day I shaved it all off. I put my clippers on like a 3 or a 4, and I just buzzed that. That's not it's not a buzz cut if it's that, the clippers are that long, but it was quite like a change. Like, it was such a like drastic change, and people, like, I don't know. I know people were talking, I know people were gossiping, but like it was high school, and I wasn't really like bullied about it. But like in my brain, I still considered myself female because I just wasn't sure like what to call what I was going through. I thought I just was a butch lesbian. That's what I like called myself, even though like I was probably bisexual. I was into men and women, all genders. I didn't even realize there were more than 2, so that's also a thing that I finally like learned over time. But I considered myself a butch lesbian, and just like, and I still dated guys like that. They didn't seem to mind, and I never talked about it. I never talked about it with anybody, but like I have people who knew me in high school who now have said like, oh, it was obvious, like he was definitely trans. Because my ex had said that. She was like, it's about f***ing time. Oh, I just swore. I can't keep the F word out of my mouth for one day. Ugh, I don't want to swear on this channel. I want to monetize it. And then, like, just getting out of high school, I learned about the word gender fluid, and I don't even know where I learned that word, but I took that word. I was like, yeah, that's me. Except, like, I was confused. I thought that your gender presentation was your gender, so if you're like a guy that likes to dress up in like skirts and heels, like for some reason in my brain I thought that was gender fluid, so I thought I was a gender fluid girl, which is a thing, like that's definitely a thing, but I didn't realize the gender changes. That's the whole point, like you're a different gender. Like any day, it's usually fluid between two genders, but I guess it can also be more. But I called myself gender fluid for not even a year, but I remember specifically telling one person that I considered myself gender fluid, but I wasn't taking on like new pronouns or anything like that. Like I still considered myself a girl. And then I guess finally, I don't even know. I guess when I was like 22, 23, I kind of questioned, like, maybe I should kind of like take on a new name. Maybe I should like try these new pronouns out. And very tentatively I tried this with another one of my exes, someone completely different. Like I asked her to like call me Alex and to refer to me with he him pronouns, and then I just slowly started picking up on that, and like, I don't know, letting people call me that and seeing like how it felt. It took a while for me to realize that, yeah, I am transgender. Like, it took me a while to like admit that, and to take on that specific word, but I was still very adamant about being extremely masculine. Like, I needed very masculine clothes, very masculine presentation, very masculine behaviors. I relied on that because I needed to be able to pass, because this was pre-testosterone. I didn't start testosterone until 2015, so that means I've been almost 4 years on testosterone. Go me, I guess. Yay. Ooh, no, I'm lying. No, beginning of 2016. Yeah, almost 3 years. Wow, it's become such a normal part of my life. I've actually forgotten like the date that I did my first injection. It was sometime in the beginning of March, but for the longest time I thought it was the beginning of February. But no, I've been on testosterone since the beginning of 2016. But yeah, all of this stuff, like going through all these different labels, that was before testosterone, so I really wanted to pass, but I didn't know how to because I still didn't have a lot of transgender friends. My wife's non-binary, and at the time I didn't understand it fully, because non-binary is such a broad term, and it could mean so many things to so many people. It's about as broad as like the word transgender. So I guess, like, I mean, looking online at different communities, being involved in different online communities, and like being married to my wife, like I started learning all this new terminology, and like I guess it kind of helped me start questioning. I already did a video on that, like the moment that it clicked, where it's like, I'm not as binary as I thought I was, and I'm not as masculine as I've been trying to make myself out to be. But that was so very recently, within the last, like, less than the last year, I guess. Like, within the last, like, several months is when I started. So I do plan on covering, I'm doing a whole video on gender euphoria. Very tempted to get my wife on that video, because I think they're doing a research piece on gender euphoria, and I could, like, this is the first time I've ever heard anybody, like, not online talk about gender euphoria. So I think it would be super important to get, like, an adult transgender perspective, 2 different perspectives. So maybe I could get my wife to come and, like, record with me. I don't know where I'm gonna find the space for that. We might have to record on the couch, which is over there, with, like, a different camera, but we will see what happens. But yeah, I have a note here, like, talking about gender euphoria and changes on testosterone. Like, I'm going to be talking about all that stuff in a later video, but we're here. I have been on testosterone for almost 3 years, and passing so well, I guess, is what gave me the confidence to start questioning other things about myself and to feel confident about being a slightly gender non-conforming man. I've also touched on this in other videos, but this is part of the whole, like, phases. I'm still in a phase right now, and it could stick, it could change, and I'm kind of okay with not knowing where it's gonna go, because right now I feel good, and I think that's the most important takeaway, is that in the moment I felt good. In the moment, calling myself a butch lesbian, that felt very me. And in the moment, even calling myself gender fluid for just, like, not even a year, even then, like, that just, it felt right to me, because I needed some kind of language. That's why having so many words for different ways to experience gender is so important, because, like, it can change, but right now, if you need a word, like, people deserve to have that. People deserve to have so many options. You can mix and match and then find something that finally works. I have no idea why I made this note down here. It says that I should touch on non-binary dysphoria about presentation, and then in parentheses it says, is presentation dysphoria even a thing? Like, being non-binary and just being pressured to what the heck am I gonna call it? Being pressured to present in a way that's androgynous, or, like, more feminine, or unknown, or, like, something else entirely, something outside of, like, feminine, masculine, androgynous. Like, I don't know if there's like a word for that, but like, I guess, like, notes aside, I don't, like, care about the notes right now. I wrote them so sloppily, but I guess, like, I'm not so worried about, like, I want to pass as a man, but my gender presentation is non-conforming. I don't feel the need to look like I'm a demi-boy. I don't feel the need to look like I'm non-binary. I think I'm doing pretty well at it, though, with, like, my feminine-leaning androgynous clothing. That's what I wrote down in my notebook, and that's what I've been calling it. But yeah, I decided not to have the question of the week be like a question about dysphoria, because I have a lot of minors in my server. I am switching over my screen here so that I can, like, take a look at the questions. Questions are being, like, the question of the week is being answered in my Stormy's Galaxy Discord server. So if you want your question answered, then you you got to go into my Discord server, and then I'll answer it in a video. So the question of the week: what kind of phases have you had? And that's, like, as in labels, pronouns, gender presentation. And how did going through different phases in your life help you to get to where you are right now? So basically, like, how does your journey compare to mine? Also, I'm not going to be answering questions from people who who are no longer in the server. Just like, that's kind of a private thing. Whenever anybody leaves the server, I delete their introductions, and I don't read their answers to the question of the week, just because it just feels like the right thing to do. So Azel, who is like very, very often requesting flags and stuff on my Tumblr, the Gender Collector himself Tumblr, I went through like 15 different names, and they all felt right at one point or another. After a while, I figured out I could use multiple names, and that helped. I'm down to 2 names now, and I'm debating which one I should have as my legal name. As for gender, that has been a spectrum, and it just seems to change depending on this person's gender fluid / gender flux experience. Very interesting. I always forget that some people go through so many names before they finally pick one that really sticks with them. I've never really done that. I've considered names, but never changed like what I'm referred to by name. Not very often at all. So GamerWire627 says, I thought I was a demigirl at the beginning of my I think I'm not cis journey. I went to gender fluid, to trans male, to agender, to just non-binary, I guess. All I know is that they them pronouns are right. I present pretty androgynously, I'd say. And I picked Jeremy because I wanted a more masculine future legal name that could have more neutral nicknames like Jer. Plus, my mom said if I were born male, she would have either named me Jeremiah or Benjamin. Cool. Benjamin is my wife's brother's name, and Jeremiah is their cousin's name. So interesting parallel there. This person, their name on here is thinking of a nickname. So thought I was a lesbian at one point because I liked my best friend. Turns out I'm pan. Until that point, I was your normal cishet kiddo. So this is what really started my journey in the queer community. A lot of it's the same. I mean, a lot of it's going to be the same narrative. Like, I thought I was this, and then I had this kind of in-between phase, and now I'm this. Some people are pretty adamant about who they believe they are, and some people are still in that questioning phase. Also, we got a lot of answers here, so I'm going to try to get through them sort of quickly. Show says, for most of my life, I was an anti-LGBTQ cishet child of my parents' creation. And then I found out I was bi because of some unforeseen events, and then recently I've been questioning whether or not my assigned gender fits me or not. Yeah, my server is also like very, I mean, cisgender people are allowed in here, straight people are allowed in the server. If you're questioning, like, totally fine. I mean, as long as there's just, you know, some respect, like, definitely, like, if you're using it as, like, a way to learn, like, that's totally fine. I need my coffee. Not a sponsor, but this is the classic mug from Good Mythical Morning, and the logo has worn off because I forgot that you can't just wash everything with the scratchy side of the sponge. But nope, the label's gone, and they don't sell these anymore. Frost says, I was an over-interested ally. Then I was like, maybe I'm bi, but that's not a problem for today. Maybe I'm a demi-boy. Nah, I'm cishet. Maybe I'm trans. Sorry, I'm stumbling over the sentence here, like the going back and forth. Maybe I'm a demi-boy. Nah, I'm cishet. Maybe I'm trans. Let's collect possible genders that still let me seem cis. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't think that works like that. I don't think you could, like, collect gender labels that, like, I think at some point people kind of catch on, but I like that part here. Nope, I'm cis. Maybe I'm aspec. Maybe I'm agender. Oof, I'm aro ace. Nah, I'm cis. Maybe agender actually fits. Oh, I'm aspec. I love that it keeps going back to aspec. Demi-romantic aspec. Could demi-boy fit? No, my alignment changes a lot. Maybe I'm bi, but who knows? I love this. I love the flip-flopping. That sounds like a lot of people have been through that one. River says, I've gone from straight to bi to abrosexual to lesbian to bi now. I'm still not 100% sure. Questioning if I was straight or not got me started on realizing I wasn't cis-het, like, at all. Like, your views on your own gender sometimes can tie in with your sexuality or the other way around. And that's also an interesting narrative there. Yeah, I know a lot of these I know a lot of these terms are what would you call it? There's a lot of new terms here. But if you were to join the server, because it's not my place to teach new terminology unless they like specifically apply to me, then I can actually talk about them by experience. But if you join the server, like, you can learn about these terms. Just look for a person who is actually like okay with being DM'd or pinged, and like just ask, and we'll get you like the definitions and like the flags, because once you know, then that kind of opens up more terminology for people to be able to use. So like, go into the server, let's talk about like what a lot of these words mean, because there's so many. The asexual narrative seems to go either you knew for sure the whole time, or like you kind of like experimented but then kept going back to the asexual label. Some people, so I'm gonna wrap up some of the stuff at the bottom, but it's really just people typing in like all their labels and like arrows pointing like a timeline literally of these different labels, and it gets like very broad. Sometimes it starts with like cisgender, heterosexual, heteroromantic, and then kind of moves into like no longer that, and slowly into very specific terminology. And I like that. You can see the evolution over time. A lot of the members in the server had a broader term and then learned new terminology over time, and I like that. I super appreciate that. And also, I just really like that people have admitted to being like very exclusionist, very homophobic, like thinking they're cisgender, straight, and then eventually learning over time that, I mean, they were pretty much the thing that they were hating. And I like that. I like seeing just that transformation here. I did not expect to get so many answers here. But after I end up recording one video answering the questions, I post the next question in the server and give it time for people to answer those things, and then like answer them for the next video and all that. So I don't even know what is the next video going to be, because I want to like kind of tease like the next identity talk video. I guess I'm still going to be calling it that. So the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is being openly transgender, and just all the ways that like I want to be seen as trans, depending on the spaces that I'm in. Obviously, like I would want to be safe, but that would be the next identity talk video. I have some other stuff happening like this coming month, but that's going to be the next big topic. And I decided that any month where there are 5 Mondays in the month, I use that extra Monday for another identity talk video. I think that it's kind of like a little bonus video, I guess. I have my notebook here. That's what I'm messing with. I was closing it, putting it aside. I write my drafts in that notebook, but I've lately been planning like the future videos like online instead. A little easier to be organized. But yeah, that's about it. Talking about dysphoria, talking about phases. Also, you can totally answer the question of the week down in the comments if you didn't end up answering it in the Discord server. And I mean, to the best of my ability, I always answer public comments. Every single one, meaning like the ones that are filtered through spam don't get answered. But I reply to every single comment, and so far, after being on YouTube for almost 4.5 years, I've replied to every single comment. So I feel good about that. And yeah, I will I'll definitely have an answer or a reply to your comment if you comment down below. And let me know what you think. I haven't been recording for this channel in a while. I took kind of a break, but I've been keeping up with uploading ahead of time. It's just been a while since I like recorded new videos. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see on this channel. I have a whole bunch of plans for the channel. I have a whole bunch of just all kinds of things I want to do besides the very heavy discussion-based stuff. And I might want my wife on the channel at some point. And yeah, that is about it. I hope everyone is having a lovely 2020. So far, so good for me. Lots of things going on, lots of changes, it's been a roller coaster, but I'm happy. I'm happy so far. And I guess I am signing off for now. See you later.